Hello everyone and welcome back to Newegg TV. I'm Steve. Today I'm going to do an overview on this AC1900 wireless router. This is the EA6900 from Linksys. As I tell you guys with the AC1900 standard, 1900 doesn't always add up what you expect it to be because you're thinking to yourself, okay, 150 megabits per second per stream on the N side. You'd be right, except that you're not, and neither was I when I first thought that. Essentially, they've jumped up to 200 megabits per second per stream thanks to Broadcom's TurboCam technology, allowing you to get, well, this is a 3x3 router, so you're looking at 200 times 3, giving you a total of 600 megabytes per second as a theoretical limit. That is the N side. So if you go to the 5 gigahertz or the AC side, you're looking at 433 times 3, giving you 1300. 1300 plus 600, 1900. So that being said, that is of course a maximum theoretical limit, so you're probably not going to see numbers like that, but it's just to let you know how they signify each one of these routers. Okay, aside from the AC1900, you're also going to get a couple different things with this particular router. The fact that it's also 2.4 and 5 gigahertz, it is a dual band, hence us getting the 1900. It's also getting beamforming technology. They are employing that on this particular device. What is beamforming technology? It is essentially something that allows this router to connect to you as a wireless client and strengthen the connection between the two, allowing it to go further with more reliability than you could do without beamforming technology. This device also has a USB 2.0 and 3.0 ports on it, allowing you to share devices via the network, be it a printer or storage devices. Also, you get 4 gigabit ports on the back, as well as advanced security, parental controls, guest services, and easy setup and adjustable antennas. That's probably the biggest thing with this particular device. Linksys, you guys probably already know this, don't normally have external antennas. In fact, this is the first one that does have it. There are ways of modding your old tech out there, but let's not even get into that. Bottom line is, you would want to have those SMA plugs on the back to allow you to use external antennas and give you some more flexibility and control on your antennas that you would be using at your household, be it a high-powered omnidirectional or possibly a directional. Let me flip it over to the back for you. Talk a little bit more about a couple more things that are back here. They do have the smart Wi-Fi app, so if you're interested in using your mobile device to basically edit and augment settings or basically check for your prioritization settings for streaming or online gaming, controlling inappropriate content, monitoring your network activity, just basic things, you can use the app for that if you don't want to set up, you know, a computer and connect into it and see the web GUI, which I'm going to be showing you here momentarily. Aside from that, there's also a nifty graph back here, a little table, and I actually want to show you guys some of the differences between the different models that Linksys offers. At the very top of the list here, we can see the three at the very top. The EA4500, which is an N wireless router, as well as the EA6300 AC1200 router, and the EA6900, the AC1900 version, which is the one we're looking at right here. So across the board, you're getting everything is pretty much the same except for beamforming technology and the adjustable antenna. Beamforming tech is going to come with both the EA6300 and the EA6900, but adjustable antenna is only, of course, the EA6900, which I mentioned earlier. Other than that, USB ports, you're looking at USB 2.0 for the N router, and the AC1200 one's going to get a USB 3.0 upgrade. The 1900, of course, gets both. So that's very nice if you wanted to have an extra USB port, and also having the USB 3.0 is also a benefit. So that being said, let's go ahead and open up the box and take a look at this thing. Here's all the goodies that came inside the box. Let me start first with the documentation CD, and that's right, I did say documentation, it's not a driver's disc. The Linksys Smart Wi-Fi router line, especially this one, do not require you to have any kind of a driver's disc, and most routers actually don't. Every once in a while you'll get some applications in there that help you to maybe use their software to get properly connected or see some of the things that Windows already does for you. But otherwise, this is all this is documentation. Also, we get a quick start guide letting you know how to set everything up fairly quickly. Also, the wireless network does come pre-passworded. The wireless password for this particular one is being shown, whoops, wrong finger, is being shown right here. Just FYI, I usually change my passwords anyways. You might want to consider that as well. Although, you can do what you wish, right? It's your stuff. So here we have an Ethernet cable that is provided for you, so this way you can get connected at least to the WAN side, allowing you to get this router some connection. If you were going to do wired, you'd have to provide your own Cat5 cables for that. Okay, or Cat6, depending on how crazy you get. Then we also get kind of the star of today's show, antennas for the Linksys router. Kind of neat because you actually see kind of right through there and see the antenna cables themselves. Anyways, attach those in just a moment. Get 3 of them. We do get an AC adapter that comes along with it, converting it over to DC power for you. So this way you can plug this in and provide power for the router. Let's take a look at that router. This beautiful Linksys router follows the same kind of color scheme that all Linksys routers have been doing, which is just that kind of mesh black with a gunmetal gray kind of hump here in the middle. I'll actually show you the hump just so you can kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. Ventilation there as well as here. Flip that over to the back of the router, show you a little bit more of just kind of what it looks like. And that will give you a good idea of what you're dealing with. I also actually, because we have a gray background and kind of a black desktop, I had to use something like this box back here to make it kind of stand out, or otherwise the lines just disappear. Anyways, so of course you do get the little Linksys glowing light that'll come on whenever that thing comes on. I'm going to just lower this slightly and spin it around so I can kind of show you the back, which is where all the I/O is. You do get 3 of the SMA jacks here, allowing you to connect those particular antennas, which you're going to need to do obviously before you start using it. WPS button here, allowing you to do Wi-Fi protected setup, and you just click this on this end as well as clicking it on the client end, and that'll provide an easy way to connect your client to this particular router. Then you have a reset button allowing you to reset back to the default settings. Next to that, USB 3.0 for USB 1 and USB 2.0 for USB 2. Kind of funny that they did that. WAN, then you'll be able to connect the network, whether it be, let's see, you have either a cable modem or a DSL modem connected to this side. The other one of the 3 antennas, 4 gigabit Ethernet ports, as well as the DC power will go right in here from that AC adapter. And the final of 3 antennas. I did actually forget to mention that you could use a printer and print share with this particular device using the USBs, as well as using your USB storage devices like a flash drive or a USB hard drive, and share those using some of the software, which I'll show you in a moment on the web GUI. So on the bottom of the router, there's a bit of important information here. First and foremost is your wireless login information, so that if you keep the default, you'll be able to use this information, the SSID as well as the wireless password key, allowing you to get access for your clients onto this particular router. And then we have the WPS pin. You'll need that after you click the WPS button. Also the MAC address here, you're going to need that if you end up using this not as your primary router, but as just a wireless addendum to it. That way you can say, all right, I want the MAC address to be a specific IP address, and perhaps you want to set up something using that USB port for some kind of a server, a DLNA server or the such. And it just makes you have a little bit more customizability and maybe save you some heartache a little bit later. This is what the router looks like plugged in. Just the only LED that's on. Other than that, it's all working invisibly. So let's get started with the Wi-Fi setup. Basically, I'm now looking at the GUI. You can check mark this box here telling them that you've read this, this license for terms and agreements. So let me just show you really quickly. All you speed readers out there can read this really quickly. Or you can just hit pause if you're really interested. I just thought it'd be funny to show you how long this is, and maybe someone out there is actually going to read it. I initially was going to skip the setup and configure it manually because that's my go-to, but I decided instead just to show you what Linksys has in store for you. Come on, Cisco, let's go. We're going to please wait for a moment, and we'll come back to you as soon as it's done. Okay, so we're back, and what it's done is it detected all the proper settings for the WAN side to make sure it could get connected to our connection here for the outside internets. Then it recognized the fact that it had to get an update, and so we're going to check mark that to automatically update and click next. And if this takes too long, which it might, I'm actually going to skip forward to the next section. Okay, one thing I forgot to mention before we got started on the GUI side is that I actually didn't have to type in the 192.168.1.1 that I believe is the standard IP address for this router. Instead, I just had to go to any address, and it automatically redirected me to Linksys Smart linksysmartwifi.com, which is probably something internalized as a forwarder for the DNS name of anything you go to or any IP address you try to go to. It's just going to probably forward me back to this. I didn't test it, so don't hold me against it. That being said, we're moving right along to your wireless settings. It already started out with the default password here for your wireless network, as well as the SSID that you currently have. You could change that if you'd like to, otherwise you can leave it exactly the same. I'm going to click Next. The router password, which is actually remarkable. It's not like just admin or password. Kudos to you, Cisco and Linksys, for making something like this. I really appreciate that. Although myself, I'm just going to leave it as the default right now and then continue forward. I really feel like I should take a picture of this, but we're filming this, so if I need to, I can refer back to that. Moving forward, the Wi-Fi router has been set up, which is actually awesome. I'm leaning more towards the fact this might even be automatically setting it. So thank you, Linksys, for solving some of the issues most people have, which is one, thinking of a password to make that's difficult to break, and two, actually doing it for them. So you don't have to say, just make up something with a couple different letters, upper and lower case. No numbers or symbols in this, but still, I mean, kudos to them for, give them much credit for doing this. Okay, bottom line is we can go back to this. They are warning you that you can bookmark that, and to ensure that you can come back to it easily with something you can remember, as opposed to 192.168. whatever. So moving forward, you can also create your Linksys Smart Wi-Fi account. And my bet is that that's going to help you access this thing via your application. They do have additional applications for the application. If that doesn't sound redundant, I don't know what does. But they do allow you to do little things like specific apps that will do things like set up specific DNS names you want to block or something like that. Maybe just a little easier than those who aren't familiar with wireless routers and how they could jump in and do it right here, or using something like OpenDNS and using the specific names of sites you want to allow and disallow. Anyways, moving right along. The Smart Wi-Fi tool list here, we have devices that are currently connected, your guest access, your parental controls, media prioritization. That's going to be your QoS. We'll look at that in just a moment. Speed testing, that's kind of cool. We could do a speed test. Actually, let's just do that because I like to. Oh, Ookla. So that's speedtest.net, right? Oh, I know you're jealous now. Oh, yeah. What's that? Also almost asymmetric or almost symmetrical? Not quite. 93.62 megabits per second down and 77.8 megabits per second up. Just for fun. In the comments, why don't you guys put what you guys get for your speed test at speedtest.net. I'm going to click OK to that, and then show you a little bit more here. USB storage, you can add your USB storage devices and then share with folder access, FTP, media server access, something I didn't mention before. The fact that it is DLNA certified, that does mean that you're allowed to use this as a DLNA server and allow your TV or your gaming console to view some of the media that you're sharing on this device. I'm just going to click OK and bump out of that real quick. And connectivity here. So what do we have here? We have your wireless network information, editing your router password, firmware updates. You can manually do that as well. Time zone, it was probably automatically set. You can turn your port lights on and off. I guess that's helpful if you were in your room and you don't want to have light when you're sleeping. Also, internet settings, you have IPv4 and IPv6 settings. Setting up whether or not you want a MAC address clone. We're getting way too detailed in here. I'm just going to skip right through and show you guys kind of the basics and what you can expect to see in this particular UI. Oh, they have troubleshooting, huh? So let's see what they have for diagnostics. You can ping, you can trace route, reboot it. Go to previous firmware, enabling the logs, that's always important. Your wireless, we kind of already saw that, but this is just a little bit closer. Oh, this is where you're going to do your MAC filtering and your WPS and what the current router pin is. And you can register another device's pin. Let's see, security, also important. It is an SPI firewall, so you do have stateful packet inspection. Your VPN pass-through, IPsec, PPTP, L2TP, filtering for different things, multicast, anonymous internet requests. Let's get out of there. That's probably too in-depth. I'll start back at the beginning because I skipped over these. These are the different devices that are currently connected. The fact that there's not a guest network there is probably why there's nothing. And here's where you can actually turn it on and set the limit of guests. Let's see, parental controls. I don't actually think I clicked on that. can enable them, and then you can block specific sites. Apparently there's the widget that's at the very beginning. You can checkbox that to show these different widgets they're showing at the very beginning. Media prioritization. So here's your QoS, your quality of service settings here, and setting up which ones you want to set as a priority, and then adding each specific application. Here's the ones that they're currently supporting. You can apparently also add a new application. Also the online games that they're currently supporting, or add a new one here. Then you'll be able to set up the specific ports, I'm sure, and reset it if you made some mistakes. Go to specific settings and you can pick the actual total downstream bandwidth you want to be able to cut up. I kind of like it when that's auto. Also WM support. Back out of that. And I believe that pretty much covers the GUI. All right, everybody, that wraps up this overview of the Linksys EA6900 AC1900 wireless router. If you liked what you saw today, don't forget to click the like button. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to any of our various YouTube channels, and we'll see you guys soon.